Welcome to Seafan Sports, a sports show that is dedicated to Seattle sports fans. My name is Dave, this is Kevin, and this is Seahawks Weekly. Before we jump into a lot of information that we have for you this week, we want to make sure that everybody follows the commandments of Seafan Sports. First of all, first commandment, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Second is to turn on the notification bell. Give thumbs up, give thumbs down. Make sure you leave some comments in the comment section down below. Now, if you can't make it to a YouTube channel and you've only got access to a podcasting platform of choice, whether that be Apple, whether that be Spotify, whether that whoever it would be, we are on all of those platforms. Just go to Seafan Sports and download your favorite episode today. Kevin, I haven't even cleared this with you, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there right now. Every podcast absolutely free. I've gone absolutely bananas today. All right.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so. Okay, so Kevin, last week we had promised everybody that we were going to come back and we were going to talk about the undrafted free agents and what they did this week.
Mm-hmm.
However, in our review of that segment, we found that pretty much we had an offensive lineman from the undrafted free agents that made any type of an impact. Mm-hmm. And that offensive lineman was Jake Curhan. So we thought, so Kevin, because he is my crack research staff, Kevin's like, well, you know what, Dave? Call me crazy, which I do. And I think I'm going to go ahead and we're going to break down this offensive line. And because it really is something that is an area of weakness, according to some of the articles that we read this week, Kevin, it is the number one concern for the Seattle Seahawks going forward in not only free agency, but the draft. So you tell me, Kevin, what was the PFF grade for our offensive line?
Well, it really all kind of started when we were talking about Jake. And then I read an article from Logan Ulrich of, NFL trade rumors. And he said the biggest Seahawk needs were number one offensive tackle. And I thought, okay, yeah, I mean, I get it because both of their tackles are going to be gone. And I know you mentioned tackles. I still think center is very, very important. So I thought, well, we're talking about Jake. So I'm going to just look up Jake, see what he did and see how he performed. I thought he performed pretty well until I read the numbers. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. So let's start off with the tackles.
Jake, how about we do the right tackle first?
What's that?
The right tackle position, him and Brandon Shell.
Yeah. So basically Brandon Shell had a 67 grade and he was ranked 57 out of 83. Jake Curhan, he played 405 offensive snaps this season. He had 4 sacks allowed and 1 penalty for holding. He had a 54.0 PFF grade, where Brandon had a 67.0. Now, obviously, Dwayne Brown, even though we think he was slower this year, he was step slow anyway, and didn't outgrade very well, but he had the highest grade on our offensive line at 71.5, and he was 37 of 83. None of our tackles were very good. None.
Well, I think that as far as Brown goes, going into the year, we figured he would lock down that left side, that he would be playing like he's played the previous years, and I didn't see that out of him this year, Kevin. I was disappointed. I was bewildered. I saw a lot of times he looked lost, and that was frustrating, especially when you're paying that much for a left tackle. Man, I tell you, I just would much rather see us upgrade that position with somebody either younger or better, maybe a Orlando Brown and maybe a Terrence Armstead. And we're going to get into that in the next few weeks, and we're going to kind of go through our wish list of who we'd like to see in those positions. But yeah, I was not satisfied at all.
Well, and then the question could be, though, is it coming from other weaknesses on the offensive line that he wasn't able to do his job professionally? And I don't know that, because our center position was horrible. Our guard position was horrible. Damian Lewis, in my opinion, took a step backwards. So let's go with the guards. Gabe Jackson.
Kevin, before we go into the guards, one of the things that I saw is that the speed rush killed him. Mm-hmm. He was not able to get to the speed rushers.
Yep.
And that's unfortunately, with Russell not stepping up in the pocket as much as he probably could or should, we have to have somebody that's able to cut those guys off. Speed rush has got to be addressed this year. Sorry. Let's get to the guard position. You go, big boy.
Okay, so Gabe Jackson had a 63.6 grade, and he was 51 out of 82. Damian Lewis had a 57.1 grade, and he was 57 out of 82. I mean, that neither one of them were good. And then Jamarco Jones, he didn't even play enough this year to even qualify. I mean, so it really was it wasn't a pretty year at all for the tackles or the guards. Wait till I get to the center. It's even worse. So
I'm sure they're on the edge of their seat, Kevin.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Kevin, we gave up a lot to get Gabe Jackson. Yeah, well, we didn't give it. We gave up a fifth round pick. But he still eats up quite a bit of cap space. Mm-hmm. I don't see us moving on from Gabe Jackson. I think Gabe Jackson and Damian Lewis are, if we ended up with 3 brand new offensive linemen at the start of the 2022 season, I think that Damian Lewis and Gabe Jackson are going to be both in that starting lineup. Agreed. I don't see a way that those guys are going to be gone. No. So,
And
they everything. What now?
Oh, I was going to say they might fit the new, zone blocking scheme better than, what they were doing. I don't know. We don't know how they're going to grade out next year. And maybe Damian had a bad year because I know he was injured a few times this year. And I don't know. I was shocked when I saw the numbers.
I did also read an article this week that there is a chance they move him to center full time.
Damian?
Yeah. So there we go. Something to throw into that mind of yours, Kevin, and we maybe address it later. Mm-hmm. All right, Kevin, speaking of the center position, because let me hike you the ball and have you go over those guys.
Kyle Fuller was an absolute train wreck. He had a 46.5 grade. He was 39 out of 39 centers. Absolute worst in the league. Absolute. Ethan Posick, he ended up with a 67.3, and he was 15 out of 39. But he only played a half a year, and he still struggled. I mean, I just have a problem with the center position. Phil Haynes actually had the best grade at 69.8, but he didn't even qualify in the top 39 because he didn't play enough snaps. So
I don't even remember Phil Haynes being in there at the center position, Kevin.
I don't either. So.
I watched every game pretty close, maybe a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. The center position, you and I had a discussion earlier on in the season. I was all about the left tackle. You were all about the center. I think it's very much a need for the Seattle Seahawks to upgrade that position in a major way. And if that upgrade is Damian Lewis, I'm all for that. And then bring in a, better up guard. I could see that happening.
I don't know. There's some great centers out there that are free agents this year that we'll talk about in future. But I just want to get a solid quality center that will totally change the line dynamic. And I think that if you have a quality center with quality guards, it's just going to help your tackles out.
Yeah. And one of the things that we noticed throughout the season, whenever Russell was rushed through the defensive tackles right up the gut, through that center and the guard positions, Russell made poor decisions and made horrible throws during those times. And that's when I would see Russell being the least effective. So we've got to lock down that center position. I fought it. Kevin, you have changed my mind in so many different ways, and I appreciate that about you. So, Kevin, do you have any final thoughts on the offensive line?
No, I pretty much think it's a train wreck. And like you said, I think I really believe they're going to re-sign Dwayne Brown because I just think that they're going to, some reason they're going to do it. I don't really want to, but I mean, obviously, I think Gabe Jackson and Damian Lewis are definitely going to be there next year. I'm hoping they totally get rid of the 2 tackles and the center position for next year.
Well, Kevin, the only way I could see him surviving, and I'm talking about Dwayne Brown, is if they draft a in the second round. I mean, I'm talking high with that second round pick. If they go after a left tackle in that position, and they've got that left tackle is going to come in and learn behind Dwayne Brown, then I'm okay with it.
Right.
I am okay with it. And they split time at left tackle or whatever it has to happen. But I think we definitely need an upgrade at that position. And
both tackles.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kevin, anything else?
Well, yeah, I mean, according to the article from Logan Ulrich, the second biggest need for the Seahawks was cornerback. And obviously, it's the same reason that the offensive tackle was, because, both offensive tackles are free agents, and our cornerbacks, DJ Reed's a free agent, Sidney Jones is a free agent, Bless Austin is a free agent. So we have 3 big holes, at least 3 people that we need. I really believe the Seahawks are going to do whatever they can to re-sign DJ Reed, but I don't know if Sidney Jones is going to be able to come back, because I think he outplayed what they're going to be able to afford to pay him. Maybe they can bring back Bless Austin, but I can definitely see that cornerback. And the third position was the one I think is very, very important. I thought it was very, very important last year, and it was my biggest concern, is the running back. Chris Carson, we don't know what the injury is going to do. We don't know if he's going to come back or not. Rashad Penny is a free agent. Alex Collins is a free agent. And then we got a couple other guys that I think are great players, DJ Dallas and Travis Homer. I think they're both going to be here next year. I just don't know. We need a real running back, and bring back probably Rashad as a alternative to a major running back. We need another beast mode.
Well, I listened to a few different podcasts. I also listened to some sound this week from 710 ESPN Seattle. John Clayton was saying that this is one of the deepest running back classes, and that you'll be able to get a quality running back in the 4th and 5th round. I mean, something that we have not seen in a while as far as getting some of these running backs. So I think that even if we do it that way and we go young and bring Rashad back and roll, Chris Carson's still under contract.
Yeah.
We really can see what is going to happen there. Maybe we release him and get some cap relief there. We'll see. So offensive line, cornerback, running back. Next week, guys, we're going to dive in and we're going to dissect the defensive line and give you guys a little clarity on that. Kevin, you got any other words for him today?
Go Hawks.
Peace out, everybody.